So today, we're going to break down the very blueprint of leadership. We're going to build a leader, literally from the ground up, using this incredible framework that gets to the heart of one of the biggest questions out there.
You know the one, right? It's the classic question. Are some people just born leaders, or is it something they build? Well, this framework we're digging into today, it has a really clear answer. Leadership is not some genetic lottery. As the source material says, these are not inborn qualities, but acquired through constant effort and practice. And honestly, that is just fantastic news. It means becoming a leader is a choice. It's a skill that anyone, and that means you, can build.
So, here's how we're going to do it. This is our roadmap. First, we'll lay the foundation, which is all about character. Then we're going to build out the toolkit of essential traits. After that, we'll fire up the engine, what really motivates the team. And finally, we'll look for the proof, the real, tangible signs that tell you leadership is working. Now, this idea of building a leader from the inside out is absolutely central to this whole thing. And you got to pay attention to the flow here, because it's like a chain reaction. You can't get to the results in step 3 if you haven't mastered the traits in step 2. And you can't really build those traits without the rock-solid foundation of character from step 1. You mess up that order, and the whole thing just falls apart. Okay, so let's start right there with the foundation, character. The best way to think about this is like the concrete slab a house is built on, right? Before you can even think about putting up walls or a roof, you need that solid, unshakable base. For any leader, that base is their integrity, their moral compass. It's the very core that guides every single decision they'll ever make. So this framework points to 4 classical virtues as the pillars of that character. First up is prudence, which is basically the wisdom to see the right path in the first place. But just seeing it isn't enough, right? You need courage to actually step onto that path and stay on it, especially when things get tough. Then you've got self-control to keep your own ego or emotions from derailing the mission. And all of this is guided by justice, which makes sure that the path you're on is fair to every single person involved.
And let's just double-click on courage for a second, because it's not as simple as it sounds. You have physical courage, that's what we usually think of, running into a burning building. But then there's moral courage. And this one is huge. This is the courage to speak up in a meeting when everyone else is quiet. It's the courage to do the right thing when it's super unpopular. And let's be real, in the world we live in today, a leader's moral courage is tested way more often than their physical courage. This all kind of comes together in what the source calls an honor code. These are the non-negotiables for a leader's character. And check this out, it's not just about what you do. That second rule, not to tolerate those who do, is so critical. It means a leader is also the guardian of the team's culture. If you stay silent when you see something wrong, you're part of the problem. A real leader sets the standard, and they enforce it. All right, so the foundation of character is poured and solid. Now it's time to start framing the house. This is the leader's toolkit, the essential traits that turn that internal character into real external action. At the end of the day, leadership is about making things happen, right? It's about being a catalyst. So the first set of tools we're going to look at are all about creating that forward momentum. It's how a leader spots an opportunity, acts on it, and makes a call while everyone else is still debating. So check out how these 3 work together. It's a powerful sequence. Alertness is the spark. It's seeing that little window of opportunity that nobody else spots. Initiative is the follow-through, acting on it without waiting for someone to tell you to. And decisiveness is the commitment, making the tough call, especially when the pressure is on. You need all 3 to really drive things forward. But look, taking bold action is only half the battle. Because all that initiative, it means absolutely nothing if your team can't rely on you. And that brings us to the next set of traits, which are all about building the single most important currency a leader has, trust. These 3 traits, they are the absolute bedrock of trust. From your team's point of view, it's actually pretty simple. Dependability means I can count on you, integrity means I can believe what you say, and loyalty means I know, without a doubt, that you have my back. If you're missing any one of these, you just can't lead effectively. Man, this quote it nails what leadership integrity is all about. A true leader acts like a shield for their team. When things go wrong, they take the hit. When things go right, they pass the credit along. That is the ultimate act of loyalty, and it's how you earn that same fierce loyalty in return.
So, we've got our traits for action and our traits for trust. Now we're going to add the final layer to our toolkit. Think of these as the force multipliers. These are the traits that don't just get the job done, they elevate the performance of the entire team.
Yeah, these traits are the real game changers. Good judgment, that's what turns a pile of data into actual wisdom. Deep knowledge, that's what builds the credibility you need for people to follow you. Genuine enthusiasm is infectious. It can fuel a whole team through the tough times. And finally, endurance, both mental and physical, that's what guarantees you and your team actually make it across the finish line. Okay, so we've built our leader. They've got the character, they've got the toolkit, but we have to remember, leadership is not a solo sport. A leader is nothing without a committed team. So that brings us down into the engine room. What is it that actually motivates people to give it their all? This framework breaks motivation down into 3 levels. At the bottom, you've got material factors. Having the right tools, decent pay, a safe place to work. Next up are intellectual factors, like feeling a sense of pride in your craft. But the most powerful driver by a long shot is the spiritual factor. And no, we're not talking about religion here. This is about a deep, shared belief in the mission. It's that powerful feeling of we are in this together. It's what turns a job into a true calling. So we've designed the leader, we've got the team's engine running on high-octane fuel, but how do we actually know if any of this is working? Well, now it's time to look at the proof, the tangible, real-world results that show you what successful leadership actually looks like. So how do you measure if a leader is effective? Well, this framework gives us a pretty simple dashboard with 4 key dials. If you look at any team and see that their morale, team spirit, discipline, and competence are all high, you can bet there's a great leader in charge. Let's start with morale. And look, it is so important to get this right. Morale isn't about everyone being happy all the time. It's about a deep, collective confidence. It's that feeling in the room that says, whatever they throw at us, we can handle it. A leader doesn't create this by accident. It's the direct result of building trust and providing a mission that people believe in. Next up is discipline. And I love this definition because it completely flips what most of us think of as discipline on its head. This isn't about blind obedience and just following orders. True discipline, the kind that great leaders build, is about what a team does when there are no orders. It's a sign of initiative and trust, not just compliance. And our last 2 indicators are really 2 sides of the same coin: team spirit and competence. The easiest way to think about it is heart and skill. Team spirit is the heart. It's the pride, the loyalty, the emotional connection to the group. Competence is the skill, the raw ability to get the job done well. And a great leader knows you are in deep trouble if you have one without the other. You need a team that is both incredibly capable and deeply connected. So let's bring this all the way back to that core idea we started with. This entire blueprint shows us that leadership is not a title somebody gives you. It's not a position on an org chart. It's an identity. It's something that you forge through daily effort and constant practice. And that really leaves us with one final and maybe the most important question. Looking at this whole blueprint, from character to traits to results, what is the one quality you are going to focus on building starting right now?